Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.
Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
This is issue number 64. Our president-level patron seems to have a thing for men with arrows because last time she selected Roy Harper, and now she has chosen his mentor, his boss in some respects, the man to whom he owes so many things, Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow. And I find it also timely that we're releasing this episode right before the Crisis on Infinite Earths comes to the CW series, the Arrowverse, as it is known.
Yep.
And Arrow is coming to an end very, very, very soon. And a lot of suspicion that Oliver Queen is going to be killed off as a character.
I hope not, because I think they'd be missing the point.
See, and it's funny because for me in live action, and I'm going to date myself, Green Arrow is Justin Hartley.
Oh, wow.
From Smallville.
Yeah.
Shout out, a couple of shout outs, by the way. Shout out Dr. Goku, who just joined our Discord server earlier. So we've got a lot of the folks from Guardians MH, our good friends, our co-mental health Avengers, are now in the Discord server, and they are listening live, as is Ruby. And you can join them if you go to tinyurl.com/capesdiscord, capital C for Capes, capital D for Discord. You can join our Discord server. You can listen to us record live, and you can chat with members of our fan community. You can talk about episodes or other shows or pretty much whatever comes off the top of your head. We're growing a community bit by bit, and we'd like you to join. So shout out to Dr. Goku and the rest of the Guardians MH folks, because also thanks to them in the Discord community, now we have the RTS bot. You can type in a number of commands and it will bring you resources that will allow you to find someone to speak to if you are in crisis mode. If you are looking for mental health resources, if you are looking for health resources of any sort, the bot, which started off on the Guardians MH server, and they've now exported it for use in pretty much any Discord server. And we brought it over because we are firm believers in what it is that Guardians are trying to do in terms of their outreach to the gaming community and just trying to help reach as many people as possible. So kudos to Dr. Goku and Joe and everybody over there, Alex over there at Guardians MH. They're a 501c3, and they're doing yeoman's work. And very grateful to know them and be friends with them and to share this space and community with them.
Truly awesome.
And the podcast shout out of the week is Origin of Speaksies. Scott and Steve talk about some common expressions and words and where they came from. So it's a pretty cool show. You can check it out. Speaksies, Speakcies. And you can find them basically wherever you find podcasts. It's a fun little short show, informative. I'm always all about learning. And if you can squeeze a couple of those episodes in and find out where we get some of our more common idiomatic expressions, why do we say, kick the bucket or things of that nature? I don't recall off the top of my head if they've ever done that, but it's those sort of things.
Understood. I think you took the words right out of my mouth.
I probably did. And I'm wondering if that has been or will be an episode in the future. So let's stop beating around the bush. Let's get right to it. So Oliver Queen was created. If you listen to the Roy Harper episode from a few weeks ago, some of this is going to be repetitive. So I'm going to do something. It's sort of like a brand new way to recap, because Oliver Queen is also a very old character. And so I'm going to try and see if I can get through his background in like 2 minutes, just really hitting like some of the major points. So Oliver Queen, created by Mort Weisinger and George Papp in More Fun Comics number 73, November 1941. He was created as essentially a modern-day Robin Hood, but at the same time, he was a wealthy business owner. Spent the first 25 of his years as basically Batman with a bow and arrow. This includes a ward, Roy Harper, a.k.a. Speedy. You want to know more about Roy? Listen to the episode from a few weeks ago. 1969, he starts hanging out with Green Lantern. He got woke before woke was a thing. He started becoming very socially conscious. This, not coincidentally, after he loses most of his money, and now he's a streetwise superhero. So he goes from the penthouse to the poorhouse, as they say. Yeah. And this creates a very leftward shift in his politics. And so he and Green Lantern sort of play off each other. Green Lantern, the more conservative hero, Green Arrow, the more liberal, socially conscious hero. Grows a Van Dyke beard, which is probably at this point what everyone knows him as, or with that look of the mustache with the goatee, but separated. That's the standard at this point, the iconic Green Arrow look, which was created in 1969. Thank you, Neil Adams. Speedy gets addicted to heroin. Ollie kicks him out. Again, listen to the Roy episode on that. So he falls in love with Dinah Lance, a.k.a. Black Canary. It's on again, off again for several years. We'll get to that in a moment. In later years, he's revealed to have a son, Connor Hawke, from a previous relationship, and Connor takes up the Green Arrow mantle after Ollie sacrifices himself to save Metropolis. He's revived in 2003 by Kevin Smith. Yes, that Kevin Smith, who wrote a fantastic run on the book. And so he works under the radar for a little while before returning to the Green Arrow name. He later becomes mayor of Star City. For those of you who are fans of the show Arrow, you know it as Starling City, but in the comics, it's Star City. So he becomes the mayor, but he resigns because he can't stop being Arrow at the same time that he's mayor. And it basically catches up to him. And so he decides he'd rather stay as the Arrow and give up being mayor. He marries Dinah and they work together with the Justice League. The New 52 is part of the DC overhaul. He has basically the same basic beginning, but he doesn't have the romantic history with Dinah, and Roy was never his ward. And then the Rebirth reintroduces a lot of those social justice aspects into the character. And I think that's about 2 minutes, and that's probably the shortest background we've ever done for a character.
That was totally awesome. The only details that I might add just a little bit was the idea that when he was young, he actually enjoyed Robin Hood. So that was referenced. The fact that he picked up a bow and arrow. The idea that either way you look at it, either he was on a manned oil rig and he would throw parties there because his family had money and there was a horrible disaster. People died, including people he cared about, but he had to survive. Or he fell off a boat and he ended up on a stranded, he thought was deserted island, had to survive by using his bow. He eventually took down vigilantes that way. Either way, the point is, he basically had everything in life handed to him, but then when chips really started to mount against him, he actually realized, I can do a lot of stuff in the world with my skills. And that's what the impetus was for him to go this whole Green Arrow route. That's the only thing I would add. Great job.
Okay. Well, that being said, because like I said, this isn't Geek History Lesson. This isn't one of those other shows where we really delve into the background. And I mean, again, so much of Ollie's background and to some extent was covered in the Roy Harper episode. True. Because they're so inextricable, they're so closely linked. And also, again, he was created in 1941. This character is, over 70 years old. Don't really feel like trying to go super long into the history. So getting right into the issues then. Number one, let's talk about the fact that, and Doc, you and I were talking about this a little bit offline beforehand. He has an affinity for dangerous women. So he marries Black Canary, who obviously is an ass kicker in her own right. Uh-huh. He also has a relationship with Shadow, who's a villain assassin slash antihero at best. At best, she's an antihero. Yeah. At worst, she's a straight up villain. Yeah. Then he has a relationship with Sandra Hawke that leads to a son, Connor. Mm-hmm. Ollie likes to play with fire when it comes to his relationships. And not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but that carries a lot of risks and a lot of danger to him, both physically and emotionally. And that says a lot about the character. So if you don't mind, what are some of the things that you notice about Oliver throughout the years that lead him into these dangerous liaisons?
Sure. The first time I was introduced to this, well before I was a psychiatrist, was... oh, what was that song? It was with DMX. Why do good girls like bad guys? You don't have to know the whole song, but the premise still stands even if the genders are switched. And it doesn't have to be male and female. It can be both female, it can be both male. That's not the point. The point is the idea that there's something that's quote unquote forbidden about certain relationships. As we all grow up, we know what the expectations are of our parents for who we're supposed to date, or who we're supposed to hang out with as friends, all of those things. Oliver's background indicates that he would have had a lot more opportunities to expand his horizons with the people he would associate with. He would have more opportunities to deal with people that even his parents wouldn't know about. Because when you have means, and I do mean financial means, you can expose yourself to things that many people in other circumstances wouldn't, or they wouldn't have the choice. In other words, some of the people in society that we may consider quote unquote, and I'm not saying this negatively automatically, but everyone does this. We do put people into certain hierarchies. The dregs, the people that we don't know where their lives are taking them. They may be shiftless, or they may have had negative experiences because they didn't win that genetic lottery that I've talked about so many times, where you just can't tell where you're going to be in the world from a socioeconomic standpoint. That's not anybody's fault per se, and it certainly wasn't Oliver's fault. But when you had the situation where from the start you knew that everything in life was going to be just fine because it was all available to you, you wonder about the other side. It's almost as if the grass is greener. And when the unknown and the exotic becomes the one thing that you can't control, you can't buy danger. You can't buy excitement. You can try, and certainly you can go on lavish trips and things like that. But an actual human being, unless we're talking about slavery, you can't buy that. And so when you have women like this, one I could describe as quote unquote in the books a hippie, and he liked that free-going spirit about that person. Having said that, it wasn't a relationship that lasted. On the other hand, you have someone that ends up being his wife, but she really pointed out that there were parts of his personality that she didn't like, and she would say it to his face, which is something that people that have influence and power aren't always used to. It wasn't a yes person. So it was something he didn't get to experience any other way. And then you have someone that at times wanted to kill him. I'm not saying that Ollie has a masochistic part to him, but it can be something that he would like to explore just so that he could say he survived it. Kind of like when people skydive, but they don't get into skydiving. They literally want to check it off their bucket list. Like, I did it once. So we all enjoy some level of novelty in our lives, and having that novelty in relationships keeps things fresh. You don't think that you're going to get bored, at least not as easily as if you had the same mundane routine every single day. Right now, I'm portraying all of this as the positive. So what are the downsides? Well, we already mentioned an assassin wanting to kill you is a downside. But also, not having that core stability with the idea that you're going to have common goals you want to build on for a lifetime, that requires even extra effort, because you're always going to be on this wandering path without a home base. And while Oliver has shown to have a high amount of energy, it's not limitless. And that can be draining. And if you don't, as Anthony has said so many times, if you don't learn how to refill the cup, then you're going to be drained. The other people that counter you are going to be drained. If you have children, you're not going to be able to care for them as much as you would like to, because you're still trying to keep the relationship itself afloat. Inviting more drama leads to a lot of acting, and that's not always a positive thing. Not to mention, when you have more turmoil and drama, you end up with often more fighting. And I wish I could say I'm just referring to arguments, but unfortunately, I've seen in my work career, it may lead to physical violence. And I'm saying that equally. I'm not just talking one domestic abuser versus another. I'm talking two people that almost see themselves as equals in the fight. It still ends up damaging everyone involved. And so I'm not saying these relationships have to end up this way, but there is a greater likelihood that they will end up this way. And so, as you said, if he's playing with fire, he's going to have a few scars for getting burned.
I think that goes for pretty much anybody, whether it's Oliver Queen or any number of our listeners or hell, at least one of our hosts. Listen, you've been with your wife a long, long, long time. I had to go through a lot of frogs to find my princess is all I'm going to say.
Okay.
So I think that that's a notion that is very relatable. And I think it's one of the things that makes Ollie a very compelling character. So having said that, let's transition. I know technically on our list it's number 3, but I feel like it segues well from that, is Ollie tends to have a cavalier attitude towards serious problems. And I don't want to say it's because he doesn't care about them, because he obviously does care. And we're going to talk about that in our third thing. Sometimes he cares too much, but yet he has the attitude of, dare I say, privilege? Is it very much I don't know that it was written intentionally this way, but I feel like it comes across as a combination of class privilege and white privilege, that it's just this notion of, all right, stuff's going down, but we'll make it through. It's not that big of a deal. Or is that beyond the privilege, and is that just his general attitude? So that's for you to parse. I'm just asking questions.
Nice. So from the way I've read Oliver, I've always considered him to be, amongst a group of people, the life of the party. He knows how to tell the right joke. He knows how to work a room, and it leads to a lot of social advantages. The idea that he was already starting from an area of privilege, that may be the case, but I never thought it overwhelmed the character or the stories, so I'm not going to go that far. If anything, he's been shown on numerous times to make attempts to shed that privilege and ingratiate himself with people that would think he's too aloof to talk to him. So he makes a concerted effort in that front. But at the same time, I think we all know that person in our lives that no matter what the circumstance, they feel like they have to have the right joke or just the right thing to, in theory, soften the blow for situations or just make things a little more relaxed. I can understand it. But
I'm feeling personally attacked here, by the way.
For the 50th time? Yeah. But believe me, I'm not aiming that at you any more than I'm aiming it at me. The number of times I've had that, as I like to call it, the needle scratch on a record where I've said something and the room goes dead quiet because I just overstepped a bound that I really shouldn't have. It's not meant to be mean-spirited, but it may come across that way because I'll go ahead and use the proper pronoun. I did not take into account the individual circumstances of the people in the room who may be going through something that's very personal and therefore not just as an aside, but truly felt personally insulted or attacked or injured by something that I said in the moment that was meant to be spontaneous, maybe even humorous. That's the type of thing that as a professional, I at least have the wherewithal to acknowledge, hopefully soon after I've said it, but Oliver is not in that category and therefore usually ignores it or is completely unaware of it. It's naivete. It's not willful ignorance. But the problem is for the other person on the receiving end or the group on the receiving end, that doesn't make a difference. The damage still gets done. So while there are many people that can see it as a positive overall, and it's something that we actually look for, actively seek out, for example, when we listen to comedians or go to a show or watch TV for certain shows that tend to cut to stereotypes and things that need to be opened up. When we're ready to listen to it, it's fantastic. But when we just want to handle a situation on a personal level, it may not be the best approach. It may come across as tactless, or it may come across as tone deaf to a person's experience, which is counterintuitive to what Oliver wants to do in the world, which we'll get to in the next issue that he has. But the worst thing you can do in those circumstances when you've done that to someone is to double down. And Oliver has no problem with trying to double down. So it becomes a situation where his response is, well, if you can't take it, then get out. Or, well, hey, that's not really the way I meant it. So, that's your problem. That doesn't help. So in the end, because of, once again, that ignorance, not willful, not intentional, but still ignorance, he ends up with a person that wants to slap him or shoot him with a gun and kill him or whatever, because it's comics. And he ends up in a situation where he wonders why. Like, why would someone feel that way? Come on, I'm just trying to do a good thing here. And when we know people like that in our lives that just don't recognize the damage that they do when they talk to people that way, and don't even come close to having others around them that are willing to say to them, hey man, that did kind of cross the line. When you don't have that sounding board, it doesn't go away. It just gets worse over time until you end up really isolated.
Yeah, what I will say, and I know I was joking earlier that I feel seen. That's the other meme, the thing, is I will not double down. Mm-hmm. I will or I'll say this, now I back off. Mm. There was a time where I would double down because I thought that my wittiness and my desire to be funny was more important than your experience. Mm. And that, I don't care what you went through. I made a joke. It's funny. I wasn't trying to upset you. I wasn't trying to offend you. Mm-hmm. Now I'm of the mindset that intent follows the bullet. By and large.
Yeah.
I'll say this. If it's something that's so innocuous, and I don't even remember the last time this happened, which goes to show you how infrequent it is. But if I say something really innocuous and somebody gets upset about it, I'll say, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm sorry you were offended, because I feel that that's a non-apology.
Right.
But I'm sorry you're upset by that. But I swear I wasn't making a joke. I wasn't trying to attack you.
Right.
I was just saying something funny, whatever. And that's a whole other discussion. But that's, I think, a sign of, dare I say, maturity and growth and empathy, that you are saying, okay, my words have meaning. And I'm not going to enforce my viewpoint on you just because I feel that my need to say whatever it may be trumps whatever experience or feelings that you have as a result of my words. Words have meaning.
Yes.
And Ollie sometimes needs to be reminded of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So this, I think, all sort of dovetails nicely into the last issue. And this is something I mentioned earlier. And as I said, it works very well with the first two issues, is his focus on societal problems at the expense of personal relationships. Ollie has a very strong moral compass. And it's a benefit to him as a character and as a person, insofar as you consider him a real human being, which obviously he's not. But as a three-dimensional, fully realized person, he has a very strong moral compass. And this leads him to constantly fight for justice and right, which is amazing. But he will throw away personal relationships for the greater good, or if it will help someone in need. And you need that balance. And I don't want to step too much on your toes with what it is that you're going to say, but you need a balance, because what are you fighting for if you don't have the personal connections? I mean, it's all well and good, and it's very altruistic to fight for the world, but what worth does the world have if you don't personally have a stake in it or care about anyone in it? So, I like I said, I don't want to say anything more, but this really sort of started with the Dennis O'Neil run in the late 60s, early 70s, when he was teaming with Green Lantern, and he goes on the cross country group, and so take it away, Doc.
All right. I mean, those issues dealt with everything from animal rights activism to social injustice, racism, class status, so many different topics that clearly it's the author that is driving that vehicle. We understand that.
Yeah, that was totally Dennis O'Neil saying, this is what I'm going to write about, and I'm going to use my book as a bully pulpit.
But the fact that Oliver has had, as you said, a strong moral compass was before that, where he had a couple of personal breakdowns about situations where he didn't want to kill someone, but his arrow actually hit the mark so well that he actually killed a criminal, that he had remorse when he first learned how to shoot an arrow about killing other animals. And the fact that those things carry forward makes perfect sense for a character like him, because he wants the world to be a better place. And the idea of personal sacrifice, that his life doesn't matter as much as the lives of others, is amazing. Superman gave him an out when he sacrificed his life. He said, what if we just found some way to chop off your arm with this bomb and you could survive that or something? And he said, why would you even come close to creating other situations? Get out of here, save everyone else you can. I got this. That's beyond gutsy. I don't want to discredit that whatsoever. But there is a selfish obligation that all human beings have once you start to make connections with others. And that's the recognition that their lives are also important. And if you denigrate your own life, you end up denigrating the lives of the people around you if you don't put your energy, at least in a partial manner, towards them. If you're a humanitarian and you run a charity, don't do it at the expense of getting a divorce from your wife and neglecting your kids. If you are the head of an organization that does a lot of things in the world, it's not the automatic decision to say, I will have absolutely no other friends because every waking hour I have to be doing this business. None of those things sound truly, quote unquote, productive, because studies have shown that what we consider to be wasting time doing things that are off the clock actually allow us to be more productive in less time. It increases our efficiency. So it's delusional to say that you doing all of this justice stuff at the expense of everybody else is automatically doing more good for the rest of the world. I'm sure someone like Oliver would point to very specific instances where he's done so. But there are plenty of other instances, especially since the people that he hangs out with are other heroes as well. Are you trying to shortchange them? Are you trying to shortchange your wife, who actually has an ability that you don't, and saying that that's less important? Is that fair? I'm posing it as a philosophical question, but I think there's a more humane answer to that, and it's, you can do different things at different times. And we've discussed this in other situations with relationships and just with work patterns as a whole. You mentioned balance. Well, what is balance? I love the fact that you're wearing that hoodie, Anthony, because it's a scale right now from law school. And we're talking about Oliver with justice. When's the last time you saw a perfectly balanced scale? Seriously.
Like this one, because most of the scales I see are of the step on and it tells you how much you weigh.
Got you. But if we're talking an actual balance, then even when it's quote unquote balanced, it's always going to seesaw back and forth. So when we talk about balance in our lives, it doesn't have to be that everything is perfectly even all the time. During the week, you're going to have a Monday where everything is going to be focused on work. You're going to have a Tuesday where you're leaving work early and everything is focused on your family. On Wednesday, it's going to be that you got to spend some time with your family and work was okay, but then you had this outside activity doing something with a podcast that you knew needed your dedication. On Thursday, it's going to be something that has to do with making sure your body is at its physical peak and you're going to be exercising, but you know you still have to dedicate time to your family. On Friday, it's going to be making sure that you don't have any loose ends for your job so that your weekend will be as good as it can be and you can dedicate time to other things. There's no such thing as quote unquote perfect balance. I don't want to create that facade, but I want to acknowledge that when you're going all out for one side for too long and you neglect another aspect of your life for too long, it's not something that you can just automatically shift back into balance very easily. It's very common for us to be able to focus on one area and excel at it. But the detriment side is a lot harder. I mean, magnitudes harder to get back once it's lost. It's not a one-to-one scale. So that's why I want to give caution. If you want to be a warrior like Oliver is and champion positive things and you feel like the world will be a better place for it, bravo, good for you. Just make sure that you're not letting everything fall to the wayside because you may not get it back. And that championing that you were doing may come back to haunt you because a lot of people want to know the person behind the champion. And if there's nothing, they start questioning what the value was in the first place.
Wow. I hadn't considered that. The idea that people want to know that if you are fighting for something, that what's your stake in it? What do you have about it? Because if you don't, then they're going to go, well, then why do you care? Because you're just on it for the issue. You don't actually care. And then if something else comes along, you're going to shift. You're going to leave us. You're going to focus on whatever else it is. But if you have roots, or if you have a grounding in the community, in the issue, whatever that may be, you're not going to flake. So that is a very interesting idea. And that was brought up, I mean, very well in this same series, in the same era of the black man approaching Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, and basically saying, you're constantly going out. You know, you're supposed to be from Earth and you're saving blue skinned people and purple skinned people and, you know, green skinned people. What are you doing for the brown skinned people here on Earth? And Hal didn't have an answer for him. Mm-hmm. And that led to a major refocus for Hal. And I'm sure at some point we'll get around to Hal Jordan as a character. But that idea that, you know, Hal is of Earth, but spent so much time in the universe that he had forgotten about what he was supposed to be really fighting for, or what his reasoning was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That was a real specter for him to deal with.
But that's a joke, son. So we're going to take a short break, plug some of our fellow friend shows, and then we come back, we're going to get into treatment. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you love movies and psychology?
Do you want to know what it would be like if Batman was in your therapy office?
Listen to our podcast, Popcorn Psychology. 3 therapists dissect blockbuster movies, available everywhere you find podcasts.
Hey, my name's Paul, and I'm not an animal expert.
I'm Donna, and I'm not an animal expert either.
And together we do a podcast about animals called Varmints.
Every week we pick an animal, do a bunch of research on it, and bring you some interesting facts about that animal.
But we don't stop there. We talk about that animal in movies, TV, and other pop culture.
And we talk about whether or not that animal would make a tasty dish, and how intelligent we think it is on the scale of 1 to 10.
It's exactly like one of those fancy PBS nature documentaries.
Except with more poo jokes.
New episodes go live every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Or you can visit us at blazingcariboustudios.com.
Varmints!
Varmint!
Hi, I'm Meredith Finch, and you're listening to Capes on the Couch.
All right, now moving on to treatment, and starting as we always do with the in-universe, what would you say to Oliver Queen, playboy, justice fighter, married man, father? What would you say to Green Arrow from a therapeutic standpoint to help him be a better version? As we always say with heroes, it's not about trying to fix them. It's how can we make them a better hero than they already are? So how would you, in universe, make Ollie a better hero?
I want him to focus, and I would make this as practical in a way that he could understand as possible. So it would involve a few props. I would set up targets far away, not in the office, and I would have him scout them, and each target would have a different goal for himself. So you mentioned the different hats that he has to wear. Let's say, in theory, it was while he was mayor, but he also has to be Green Arrow. Fine. Goals for improving the city. That's on one target. On the other target, goals for fighting crime. On another target, goals as a husband and lover. Another target, goals as a father. Each of these targets, the point is, I'm going to give you 1, maybe 2 arrows each session. Take your time, think about it. You have to shoot. And I, like I said, I want these to be far away, difficult. You have to shoot the 1 or 2 targets that you are going to focus on until the next session.
Ooh, that's brilliant.
So that's the way I would get to him. Because you know he can't turn down a challenge like that. Not in the slightest. Obviously, it would involve talking about those things and why is that target more important now than the other ones and all that. But still, that would be my main focus. I don't have any other extensive thing to say about it because a lot of this is going to make a lot more sense with the out-of-universe treatment. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, then that being the case, then why don't we just jump right into out-of-universe? So he's a billionaire, social justice warrior, married man, up and down. No, I think you're laughing because you think that I have some sort of real person in mind.
I have no idea if you do or not.
I don't, but the way you were laughing seemed to me that
it's just that there aren't that many billionaire philanthropists that would have the availability of doing that also are married and have goals that they're really focused on for society at large. They may or may not have their own foundation and may or may not have built up one of the biggest corporations in the world. Okay, if you don't know who I'm talking about, thank you. I have no idea. I don't know Bill Gates. I have never met Bill Gates. I am not claiming that Bill Gates has any of the issues that we've been discussing. So please get that out of your minds. Let's get that out of the way right now. I do not need to be sued by the Gates Foundation in the slightest, okay? So now that we've made this more open and anonymous, it becomes a situation where rather than targets, I probably give them what's called a gratitude journal. First of all, if you've never heard of this, it's the idea that rather than just writing down your random feelings at any given time, you set aside a specific time of day. Most people prefer the morning, but it could be any time. And you limit it to maybe 5 things that you are grateful for that day. And it allows a person, first of all, to create a positive mindset that can be taken on for the rest of the time until they write in the journal again, so that they allow for opportunities to have positive experiences with other people. It also, though, helps maintain focus, because when you have excessive means, or you have means that you don't even know where to begin, how to apply them, you just end up in, well, can end up in almost a hedonistic setting. Let's be honest. If you or I had $1 billion, what would we do with it right now? Everyone has these ideas of vacations and paying off things like debt, which is a good thing, but also probably buying houses and what you would do for family. And then the extended family comes out of the woodwork, and there's probably people that you don't even know that say they're family or whatever. But it would get overwhelming without a plan. And you need someone to help remind you of what's important. You would also allow for sessions that may or may not bring in the close family that they don't get to see otherwise, because often people end up in meetings or traveling. I'm not even talking billionaire status. I'm just talking the types of lives that we have to live. And we're not always going to be in direct connection with what we consider to be important. So sometimes a therapist can be that liaison to remind them of what they consider important. Is there a phone call you need to take right now? Is it that vital? Because people often say, I need to take this, and they'll take a phone call from work. Once again, putting the blame on myself. I'm going ahead and throwing myself in there. But then when it's a family member, it's like, oh man, I know I need to take this, but should I really? Like, why is it sometimes that people focus the wrong way? That actually sounds like the wrong direction for it. You should be taking that family phone call immediately and delaying the work phone call. That's judgmental on my part. I know that. That's not true all the time. But I'm saying, in my experience, I've noticed that's what people tend to do. So just giving reminders of that sort of thing in the moment will allow them to create a system that they'll be able to do that on their own on a regular basis. So those are just a couple of things that I think might be able to help someone that on the surface looks like they got everything going for them, but they're human just like the rest of us. And if they can recognize that, they'll be much more effective when dealing with the rest of us. We won't just be these random peons that don't matter. Once again, I'm not saying that's how they think of it, but that may be the air that they give off. And let's really drill down on this. I'm not talking about billionaires. I'm talking about anyone that has had to be in a supervisory role at work. I'm talking about anyone that has ever been temporarily given a situation where the boss is away and they have to manage the store, or they have to be in charge of a specific unit for a day, or your wife happens to be sick and now you're the head of the household, which you've never done all of the other housework before. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's the truth for many people, and you can certainly switch the genders. I'm not saying that specifically. We all have these circumstances where we're put in positions that we're not used to, but are very important to everyone else around us. And if we take it too lightly and we don't have a focus on it, and we don't recognize why we're doing what we're doing, it becomes aimless, inefficient, sloppy, and everyone complains and they say, well, see, this is why I don't like this job, or this is why I don't like work, or this is why this family sucks, or whatever. So start with gratitude, write it down, give yourself reminders throughout the day why it is you're doing what you're doing. Mindfulness can be pretty darn powerful.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Listen.
It's rare. Let me explain to everyone listening. It is rare that I get a situation where Anthony is truly speechless. So I am relishing this right now.
As well you should. It's, no, what I mean by that is just the notion of the reminder of how powerful mindfulness is, because I do my level best to focus on mindfulness throughout the day, and particularly with respect to gratitude. I'm a big believer in that, but it's difficult in this day and age, and especially with my job in particular, to maintain that level of mindfulness and awareness all the time. I think that's a human thing, frankly, but certain jobs are more distracting than others. And mine is a very distracting one because I have umpteen things that I have to focus on all the time. And different crises that pop up. And I have an assistant who is very good at her job, but simultaneously needs a lot of micromanaging and handholding. And so that takes away from my ability to be more effective. And so I have all these thoughts racing through my head at any given time. And then the mindfulness goes away. And then I come home and I feel like a shell of a human being. Whereas if I get the text from my wife, if she's home with our son, let's say on that particular day, and she sends me a picture of him smiling, playing video, whatever, it has this very clear ability to just snap me back. And I go, none of this really matters. He does. He's what's important. He's the reason why I'm doing all of this. For him, I will walk through hell in a gasoline suit. For him, I will drive an hour plus each way for a job that gives me the benefits and the salary that I need. For him, I will walk the ends of the earth if need be. So that does a great job of snapping me back to, to snap back to reality, as Eminem would say.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we all focus on that and we remember that as frequently as possible. And, I've mentioned this on I think this show and certainly other podcasts I've guested on, that I end my day with, my prayers of gratitude, that I don't pray in the traditional, thank God, I don't say Hail Marys, Our Fathers, what have you. My prayers are thank yous to the universe, to whatever deity happens to be listening, whatever deity you choose to believe in. And it's thank yous for my son, for my wife, for anything that happened that day, good, bad, or otherwise. And so I'd encourage you, and that's my mindfulness, that's my anchoring. I would encourage you, the listeners, to anchor yourself. You don't have to do it my way. Whatever way works for you, but whatever reminds you of why it is that you're doing what you're doing. And the flip side to that coin is, if you can't find a reason for why it is you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your job is, if you're in a relationship and you can't find a reason to keep doing it, then I'd give serious consideration to walking away from the job, the relationship, what have you. Well, not life.
It means that it needs to be unpacked and it needs a serious review.
Yeah, I'll put it that way. I'm not saying walk away. I'll rephrase that. See, Doc is the professional. I'm just the jackass on the microphone. But my point is that whatever the case may be, if you can't find your reason for it, if you can't find the thing that keeps you going for that issue, I'm not talking about life, because there's always a tomorrow. But if you can't find a grounded reason to stick with whatever thing it is that you're coping with like that, then really drill down deep within yourself and figure out and ask yourself, why am I doing this and is it worth it? So
sometimes you just got to find your why. Yeah.
Absolutely. You see, I get loquacious and overly unnecessarily verbose. You boil it down. That's why you're the professional and they pay you the big bucks. So now that we've done all that, let's boil this all down and see what happens when we get Oliver Queen on Dr. Issues' couch.
Hello, Oliver. I'm Dr. Issues.
Please call me Ollie.
All right, Ollie. What can I do for you?
I'm not really sure. Things are good,
Well, I'm glad to hear it, but I do my homework before I see a patient for the first time.
That makes two of us. I am so glad you're working with Roy. He is really trying to keep his life on track, and I want to thank you for that.
Nice try with deflecting. okay, Roy is a big part of your life, but how does his path influence how you feel?
Like I said, I mean, he's trying. That's all I can ask. I mean, we don't talk as much as we did before, but he is his own man. I mean, he knows if he needs to come to me.
You didn't really answer my question. How does your mood adjust to knowledge of his situation?
Well, listen, I don't have a psychiatry degree or anything like that, but I mean, that's an easy one. I'm happy when he does well. I'm disappointed when he doesn't. But having said that, I don't dwell on stuff.
Interesting. I seem to recall that his problems really hit you hard.
Not as hard as I hit him, let me tell you.
Do you have to have a quip at every moment?
If I want to stay sane, yes.
Fair point. Humor is a positive defense mechanism. My worry is that it can be used in excess.
Doc, you're reaching. Look at me. I'm a hero. I've been through it all, and I'm still standing. I can have anything I want out of life, and I choose to help the downtrodden. Do you really think I need to see someone like you? No offense.
None taken. All right, consider this an annual physical.
You mean a mental?
Anyway, I'll touch on a few major areas of life, okay? How's your finances? I mean, I know you've had some trouble before and...
Classy to trashy, back to classy. And I'm not talking about bootstrapping nonsense. I know a lot of it is luck. I don't take it for granted. Plus, I got to be mayor. I mean, do you know how cool it is to be mayor?
Well, then, how about intimate relationships?
Listen, Doc, I'm flattered, but I don't swing that way. I know what you mean. Dinah's my gal. Best choice I ever made. Not ashamed to say she can take me if I let her.
Okay. Next topic. Your son.
Ooh, you do your homework. Yeah, I got salty, but it ain't his fault. His mom is a manipulative psychopath that kills and is smoking hot.
Whoa. I meant Connor.
Oh. Well, hippie love, you know.
You know what? I'm sorry. I just have to ask you, why do you keep putting up this happy-go-lucky facade?
Just another person that doesn't get it. This is me. It's fun to be me. Listen, I'm not some deadbeat wisecracking idiot that doesn't get the job done. I've been stranded with nothing. I've been blown up. I didn't have a soul. I shot a terrorist in the head and it saved the world. I shot my best friend in the chest and it saved the universe. Work hard, play hard. My old lady could kick your ass. My offspring leave lowlifes quaking in fear. Don't pathologize imperfections. Yeah, I sass the ladies. Yeah, I'm the life of the party. But nobody picks up the mantle quicker than me when it's time to get serious. So is there any problem that we haven't touched on that you would try to make me sound crazy?
I can see you feel strongly about this. I'm not an enemy. I'm not trying to interrogate you. And that passion you just showed, that's amazing. My only worry is that it could overwhelm you.
You know what overwhelms me? This talk, you and me, right here, as if it's more important than what millions, billions of people go through on a daily basis. You know how unjust the world is? Do you really? I mean, that's why I do what I do. I can't sit in an office and wax poetic. You've got kids lined up in cages. You have people that are trekking across miles just to make a better life for themselves, and they're being stopped by bureaucratic nonsense. You have people that can't drink the water in the homes where they live. You have people that can't breathe the air in the homes where they live. You have people that are struggling with their own mental capacity on a daily basis because they're hearing voices in their head and we don't have the resources to get them help. We have people that are out there that are actively trying to prevent worlds and nations from coming together to try and make this place a better life for all of us. And you're going to sit here and say that this discussion between the two of us is what's really important right now when all of this other stuff is going on in the world right now? You're saying that to me with a straight face.
Okay. Clearly, you're not really interested.
So let me ask you this. How much is it per session?
What?
I mean, listen, I really need to center myself. I mean, yoga only does so much. You're good people. I'll call you. Maybe I'll make it dramatic, like an arrow on your door as a souvenir or something. Stay sharp, Doc.
What just happened?
So you pissed him off, but he's still coming back?
That happens once in a while. You touch a nerve you didn't even intend to touch, and then that's the bait, I guess, that gets reeled in. I don't know. But I have had that happen where I thought a session went terribly, and yet the person still wanted to continue treatment. So it happens.
Well, it's a testament to your ability as a mental health professional.
Or my availability at the time I was taking outpatients, which no longer exists.
Or that. Fair enough. So that's going to do it for this episode. So I made a note here in the notes, and I mentioned this at the last episode. I made a note here to remind folks of our sticker giveaway. And I was supposed to mention this at the top of the show, and I completely flaked on, even though it's literally in the notes. I wrote it down specifically with the intention to mention it. I mentioned everything else at the top of the show, not the sticker giveaway. So I'm mentioning this now again at the bottom of the show when hopefully someone is listening. But if you listen to us on a platform that allows you to rate and review, typically either Podchaser or Apple Podcasts, if you leave us a rating and review and you send us a screen cap of that rating and review with your email or with your address, and you email that to capesonthecouch@gmail.com, we will send you a sticker, because that is our way of saying thank you to our fans. So we appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And I will be grateful if I remember this at the top of the next show and don't gloss over it like it's literally in my blind spot.
Hey, at least you have a dutiful co-host who reminds you every time. I've never reminded him. So It's just as much my fault.
That's fair. So we are coming up on the end of our little season. We're going to take a break of sorts at the end of December for the holidays. But before we do, we've got 2 episodes left. We have The Max, which I have been reading/rereading. I read like 1 or 2 back when they came out, when the show was very popular on MTV's Oddities. But this is really the first time that I'm sitting down and going through the run, the 35 issues. We were able to blow through Oliver Queen's background in like 90 seconds, 2 minutes earlier. I couldn't do that with the Max if I wanted to, because there is so much stuff. And frankly, I think
Are you trying to say that we're going to have to take this to the max?
What I'm saying is I don't know that the episode is going to be just about the Max. I think by virtue of the story and the characters, it has to be about the Max and Julie Winters.
Okay.
Because I don't think you can do one without the other.
Okay.
So I'm just giving you the heads up.
All right.
That's probably going to be the case. What that means for the skit at the end, I don't have a clue, because I haven't gotten that far ahead.
Right.
I'm still reading these books and trying to parse out what in God's name is going on. This is so 90s, but in a fun way.
Okay.
I say that in a fun way. It's very 90s, but oh boy.
Cool.
There is some shit in these books that is just, I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Looking forward to it.
And then we close out our season of sorts with issue 66. And Ruby, one of our super fan patrons, and she has selected Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider. So,
oh man, my head's on fire just thinking about it.
I will be sure to pump some questions from the Inner Demons podcast. They're friends with Into the Night and that sort of a collective network there of podcasts. So I'll be sure to get a couple of questions from them, see if they have any thoughts on Robbie Reyes. So if you have any questions you like to ask us about either the Max or Robbie Reyes or anything in general, you can send us an email at the aforementioned capesonthecouch@gmail.com. You can shoot us a message on Twitter. We're very active on Twitter, at Capes on the Couch, Facebook, at Capes on the Couch, Instagram, at Capes on the Couch. We have the Discord server we mentioned at the top of the show, where our folks and our fans are listening right now as we record, and you can chat with other members of the Capes on the Couch fan community. tinyurl.com/Capes Discord for the invite, and join the server and join the fun. And we have a Patreon page. You can subscribe there, patreon.com/Capes on the Couch. We have a TeePublic page, which by the time this episode airs, the Black Friday sale will have just ended, but I know that they run regular sales. You can get all sorts of cool swag with the Capes on the Couch logo. And I've been debating, by the way, I think the next design, I have what I wanted to say, I just don't know how I'm going to say it or how I want to sort of display it, is because comics.
Nice.
Because how often do we say that at least once an episode?
Yep. And it's popular enough that my daughter is saying it to explain things, even in video games, or she'll say, a video game, I know. So just that whole thought process. You got a 7-year-old to think that way.
Woohoo. I chalk that up as a win. So, Doc, anything you want to add about Ollie before we leave?
No, I don't think so. I think we were really sharp on this one and got to the point.
Boom. I think that's just about wrap it up. So for Doc Issues, I'm Anthony Sitko. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.